Assalamu alaikum students. Now, thereafter, based on these Galileo's ideas, Newton did little more research and he came up with the first law of motion. So, what was Newton's first law of motion? It stated that a body at rest tends to remain at rest, and a body in uniform motion tends to remain in the state of uniform motion until and unless an external force is applied on it. So, the first law of motion spoke only about the scenarios of uniform motion. So, even Galileo told something similar to this, right? So, Galileo's law formed the basis of Newton's first law of motion. But you might say, why it's famous as Newton's first law? It should have been called as Galileo's first law of motion. That is because Newton not studied not only this portion of uniform motion, he also extended his studies. He also spoke about the scenario of non-uniform motion. So that's why he gave little more information about force and motion, and that is why all the three laws came to be known as Newton's first law, Newton's second law, and Newton's third law, respectively. So Newton says that a body which is at rest, it always wants to be at rest. Similarly, a body which is at uniform motion, it always wants to be in uniform motion until and unless some external force is applied on it. Let's suppose if you have a ball at rest, that is the ball is lying on the table. The ball want to lie on the table for hours together, for days together, for years together if you don't apply an external force on it. So something which is at rest always will be at rest unless and until you apply some force on it. Similarly, which is at uniform motion, that is, it's moving with constant velocity. This will also keep on moving with constant velocity. So when will it move with constant velocity? When it's hurdle free surface, when it's frictionless surface. So it will keep on moving with same constant velocity until and unless you apply some external force on it to stop it. So this was Newton's first law of motion. A body at rest tends to remain at rest, and a body at uniform motion tends to remain in the state of uniform motion until and unless an external force is applied on it. So let's look at the first law from the point of view of balanced and unbalanced forces. How can we state the Newton's first law using the concept of balanced and unbalanced forces? See, a body at rest tends to remain at rest, and a body at uniform motion tends to remain in the state of uniform motion until and unless an unbalanced force acts on it. That is what I told you earlier also, right? That if a body is at rest or if the body is in uniform motion, that means the net force on the body is equal to zero. That doesn't mean that there are no forces acting on the body. That means either there are no forces acting on the body or the body is under the influence of balanced forces, right? Because balanced forces does not cause any change in motion. Now, according to first law, if the body at rest and the body in uniform motion will tend to remain in their position, in their state, unless and until an unbalanced force acts on it. What will happen if the unbalanced force is applied on the body? The body will be set in motion because unbalanced forces cause a change in the motion of an object. For example, if the ball is lying on the table and the ball doesn't move at all, it's at rest. Why is it? Why it's at rest? Because it is under the influence of balanced force. Now say the ball is moving. Now the ball will keep on moving with say uniform velocity as long as it is under the influence of balanced force. As soon as you apply an unbalanced force on it, what will happen? The ball will stop. So the balanced forces do not cause any change in motion, whereas unbalanced forces cause a change in motion of the body. So with this, we completed Newton's first law of motion. Now, did you notice here we spoke about the tendency of body which is at rest to remain at rest and tendency of body which is at uniform motion to remain at uniform motion. Now, this tendency of an object is known as inertia. So, now we introduced a new term. So, inertia is nothing but the tendency of an object to remain in its present state. So, inertia is the resistance of a body to change its state of motion. When I say to change its state of motion means what? It can be at uniform motion, it can be at rest, whatever its state may be. It will always try to resist its present state. For example, if body which is at rest, it will always want to be at rest. So when you try to make it move, the body will offer some resistance, and that is known as inertia. Let us suppose if you have a ball at rest, so this ball want to be at rest. So even if you try to apply some external force, initially the ball will resist that external force. But after that, when that force dominates the ball will start moving. Similarly, a ball which is already moving, which is already in motion, it will want to keep on moving. So this property is known as inertia. So we'll take some good examples from our day-to-day life, which all of us have experienced. Have you ever experienced jerks when brakes are applied suddenly? Suppose you are sitting inside the car and suddenly the driver applies brakes. What happens? You feel a jerk. Now, why do you feel a jerk? When he applies the brakes, the car velocity suddenly slows down. So suddenly when he applies brakes, the person sitting inside, he feels some jerk. That is because initially the car was moving with uniform velocity. So for car, its current state of motion is the uniform velocity, v. So it wants to move with this velocity v. But when you suddenly apply brakes, the car resists. The car doesn't want to change its current position. The person sitting inside want to be in its current position. So what happens? The man is trying to be in its current position, but the car is moving forward, and as a result, the person experiences a jerk. So every object tries to retain its current position. Similarly, if you look at this, there's a tendency to bend on one side on a bike during sharp turns. Let's suppose if you go some hilly areas or something, you would have seen that the roads have very sharp edged turns, and when you take those turns, the person sitting on the bike or cycle, they tend to bend. So this bending also takes place because of inertia, because the body wants to be at the same position, but because of the turn, the vehicle moves along the direction of turn, and as a result, the body bends. Another example, you would have seen you would have seen a cup and a saucer. Have you seen the design of the saucer? It's little upwards like this, and it has a depth inside. Why is it so? So that the cup doesn't fall off. Because if it's completely plain like this, the cup will have its inertia. And so if plate move, the cup might fall down. So that is why the upper edge of saucer uh, is like upwards, somewhat upwards, so that it prevents the cup from falling. Now suppose if you have a tumbler and you have placed a thin card over it, and above that you have placed a small coin. This is a very popular example of inertia. Now if you flip this card, what happens? The card is thrown off, and what happens to the coin? The coin should also get thrown off with the card, na? But actually the coin falls into the tumbler. That is because coin still wants to hold its current position. The coin doesn't want to leave its current position. So even though the card is thrown away, the coin falls into the tumbler. So these are some of the examples of inertia. And so inertia has a very important role to play when we talk of force and motion. Now, one more important thing is here that mass is a measure of the inertia of a body. Now, what do I mean by this? If a body has more mass, it has more inertia. That is, heavier objects have more inertia than lighter objects. For example, if you are having a stone and a football, then stone will have a greater inertia than a football. If we kick a stone, it will not move because of its high inertia. But if we kick a football, it will move along a way, right? Thus, a stone resists a change in its state better than a football. So, a stone has more inertia than a football. Similarly, a cricket ball will have more inertia than a rubber ball if they are of the same size. So it means the inertia of your body depends on its mass. Okay, and from this discussion, we conclude that to overcome the inertia and make a body move from rest, we must apply an external force. Okay, this was all about the Newton's first law of motion and inertia. Thank you.